maybe you start with, we may land in different opinions or different content, or we may land differently on the content level. But the piece that I think I find disturbing is the snarkiness through which we're trying to have the conversation. Do you know what I'm talking about? Does he see the snarkiness, and would he also call it snarkiness? And is that a shared reality where you can start from? He might not see it as snarky at all, right? He might say it's the snarkiness, and he says, oh, it's the conviction and the passion. But if he's like, yeah, but I enjoy the snarkiness. I think it's banter. I think it's whatever it is. I don't know what somebody would say. So you start with the observation and then always come back to, well, this is the impact that it's having on me. What's the impact on you? Or when such and such happens and you say it's comforting, tell me more about the impact on you. Elicit more information, and then always weave it backwards and forwards, right? How is it impacting you? How is it impacting me? What pieces did I tune into? Which pieces did you tune into? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? What's important to me about it? What is important to you about it? And then always with an eye to, I wonder where we're actually on the same page. And I wonder if we can map out the places where we diverge. Neutrally. Even if you don't agree at the end of the day, there is a lot of benefit from helping someone articulate why they are where they are, what they are, without any demand that they be different, as a way of really just seeing and understanding in the early stages, making sure that we're really getting what is important to this person without projecting all of our fears and anxieties and demands that it be different onto them. So then you're going to hold that as a dilemma that we have. And as much as we can go into that from the attitude of, it's not that one of us is right or one of us is wrong. And it's not that there's a good perspective or a bad perspective, if you can. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes it's very clear to me that there is a good and there is a bad, and I can't get out of that. We can talk about that too. But if I can get to, listen, I want us to talk about what is possible and what is a best fit solution, given the way that we're coming at this conversation differently. And one of the things that each person then needs to figure out is where their draw in the sand line is. You've got to know before you start in that conversation, I can shift up to this point, but the thing I'm not willing to shift on is this point. Then that's a really good place to start. So it might sound, for example, like, I can really join you in your world. Like, you feel safer with guns. You have a different relationship with guns than I do. I want to honor that. I don't want to get in the way of your relationship with your guns. And I am discovering in me, I am not willing to live in a house that has a gun in it. So that is a ultimatum for me. That's something that I've done a lot of soul searching. I'm not saying this is what you would say, but for example, that could be a line that somebody has. I'm just not willing to do that piece. Given that, where are you? Where are your ultimatums, or where are your lines in the sand? Can we map that out? And then we need to have a conversation about what's possible given those. I would then be really creative. I would say, look, I am responsible for honoring me, and I am responsible for honoring my safety and communicating and giving you all the information you need about where I can shift and where I'm not willing to shift. And I want you to do the same for me. And then I want us to get really creative about what's possible in that space. And that can also be something that we revisit. Let's try a best fit solution for 3 months and see how that's working. Because remember, people do shift and change. People do soften. People do change their minds. So you always want to work in a way that allows people to get to wherever they're going to get to on their own terms, whenever possible. What we're avoiding here is a discussion, if possible, around which one of us is going to win and which one of us is going to submit. So, for example, if you're like, I'm fine with having a gun in the garage, or I'm fine with having a gun in a lockbox 3 states away, or whatever it is that you would be fine with, like, figure out where are your lines. And then you want to make those invisible lines that are inside of you very visible to him. And then you want to ask the questions and make it safe for him to figure out where his invisible lines are. and make them visible to you. And you might hit places where each person has a line in the sand that means that there is a separation on that issue. And then I would just acknowledge the loneliness of that and the sadness of that and the tension of that. And then be willing to work with it as is if you want to stay in connection. There can be some pain, there can be some disappointment, there can be a longing that you are more like me and that I will more like you because I really want to be close to you. And sometimes these differences represent places where we're not going to have the kind of intimacy that we enjoy. And we're going to feel more distance than we enjoy. But that doesn't have to be a deal breaker in a relationship. We can learn how to be connected through the distance without forcing the other person to be an extension of us. And then without, like what you were saying in your question, without going along to get along. You're in charge of your values and your choices. He's in charge of his values and his choices. What happens in the relational space is, how do we love each other as we are? And ideally, these are not my values. How do we help one another grow into everything we could be? Now, that's not why everybody is in a relationship. That is a value that I have for a relationship, but some people don't have that as a value in their relationship. So I want to acknowledge that. If you have the same North Star and the same values, it will be easier to tolerate more tension than when you don't have the confidence that you're going in the same direction or have the same central intention.